Hey guys, it's Dee, and we are back with another What Is It podcast.
What is it? Come and see here at Manna University.
So, hey guys, Manna U here. What is it? We're here to talk about educate, equip, and empower. And this month, I have my good friend and co-worker, and we both used to be interns in an internship, not at the same time though, because we are very different in age. He's way older than me. I'm just joking.
That's right.
This is Daniel
Hey guys.
McBride, and he's joining us because, well, we just went on a Manna mission trip.
Indeed.
With Filter of Hope and kind of Manna University. So we're going to have some conversation today about what it looks like to educate, equip, and empower in the context of a missions trip. So Daniel, tell us a little bit about what you do at Manna University.
Yes. So I am the student life coordinator. I'm also the executive assistant to the president, Dr. Serrano. And so I get to work closely with him and really help with anything that he needs. But also when it comes to student life, when students are having trouble in classes, they might need someone to help them out, either with just some advice or getting some of the resources that they might need. I can connect with them, help them with that, help welcome new students. And I'm sort of just here for all things student resources, student services. Also, if you work with the SGA at all, then you're going to interact with me a good bit.
Yeah. Lots of jobs there. We wear several hats. So I don't know if you remember, but 2 months prior, we had Dr. Serrano on the podcast, and he is the president of our university. So we're getting all the people in, and I'm starting to get people asking me, how do I get on What Is It? Can you believe that? Like, people are actually reaching out to me to ask me, how can they guest host on What Is It?
This is the place to be, Dee. I was told this was the place to be.
Apparently, because you're here.
That's right.
And I'm here. And you can't see her, but Jessica's also here.
Jessica is also here.
So that would be weird if Jessica wasn't here, because then who's operating things? It doesn't matter. Anyway, so you went on this missions trip.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the trip you went on. Was it your first missions trip? What role did you play? Just give us a little bit of, background, context. Take us there.
Sure. Yeah, so this was my third mission trip.
Okay.
My second international mission trip. And it was to the same place as I went on my first international mission trip to. So I, in 2023, Manna Missions for the first time started working with Filter of Hope. Filter of Hope's an organization that distributes water filters in communities that are in need of clean water. And they also, when they present the filter, they do the whole presentation on how to use the filter, how to install it. They install the filters for people. And then they're like, hey, this is yours. We're not taking it away. This next part's not dependent. Nothing about the water filter is dependent on what you say next. But also we have a second gift we'd like to share with you. And if people say yes, then they evangelize. And so Manna Mission started working with them back in 2023. I was part of that first trip to Havana, Cuba. And then 2025, there was 2024, there were a bunch of Manna U people who went on a trip there again. So 2025, it was like, hey, let's kind of own a mission trip. So we had like half the team was Manna U students or alumni or faculty or staff. And so I was part of that. And so I went back with them. And that was a pretty cool, pretty exciting experience. And we were doing the same thing. So we were distributing water filters in a community within Havana that was in need of clean water. And while we were there, we were also sharing the gospel with people.
So it would be safe to say that we were offering clean water and living water?
Oh, yeah. Clean water and living water. Yes.
All about the water. What a trip, right? It was fun.
It was
a good time. It was hot. It was warm.
Yeah, I'm drinking water now because I'm thinking about
how hot it. Yeah.
I drank 6 liquid IVs a day.
Did you? My.
And I didn't fall out from heat exhaustion or anything. So
I didn't drink any liquid IVs at all, and I didn't fall out either. So.
Well, now you're just showing off.
Okay.
I did 2 Actually, I'm wrong. I did 4 a day. Sorry.
Okay.
I did 2
was about to
immune.
say, that's a bit much.
So I would
Daniel.
drink 2 immune support in the morning because my water bottle was big. So it took 2 to match the amount of water. And then I would do 2, I would like come back for lunch, drink a whole bottle of water or 2 at lunch. And then I would put in my Rocket Pop flavor. I mean, Liquid IV has Rocket Pop flavor now.
Oh.
Not sponsored by Liquid IV. I just like you remember those Rocket Pops from when you were a kid?
Oh, the ones that do the crackling in your mouth?
Yeah, and like they got like the red, white, and blue. Maybe we're talking about different ones.
Maybe.
Anyway, they've got Rocket Pop flavors, and it tastes just like them. So there I am with I would do the 2 of those at night, and then after I finished drinking it, I would fill it up with my immune support for the morning. So I was thinking of the 6-packs I would, anyway.
So for those of you who have never been on a missions trip to a country that is hot, just know and understand that what we're talking about here is kind of necessary to understand how if your body is not used to certain levels of heat, it might be a good idea to kind of prepare like Daniel did, because otherwise, because we're outside a lot.
It's true.
In
And
the heat.
most people are actually dehydrated all the time anyway.
Well,
Like
true story.
most Americans just don't drink enough water.
I'm certain I'm dehydrated right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but I've seen it. You've seen it too. I mean, you've gone on websites where you get all the like ads at the bottom for like 70% of doctors say this, and they may or may not be true. But this one, anyway. So before you go on any kind of, whenever
They may or may not be true.
yeah, but this one I think is, right? So when you're going to be
Love
outside,
that.
if you're like, what's weird? I get headaches randomly all the time. And you're like, I'm about to be outside for a week. Maybe, just maybe, you should drink like a lot of water like the week before so the water's already in your system. Because when you start like getting hot and start drinking water, it doesn't immediately, get into your system.
Can I just say you should just probably start drinking water in general?
You should be drinking water right now.
Like you should.
Do you know how much danger you're in right this moment, sitting on your couch, driving in your car because you haven't had enough water today?
If you're concerned about the fact that we're on a tangent, we're not. We're educating you on
right.
water and drinking.
That's right.
And mission trips.
Am I qualified to educate you on water?
Probably not.
Not important.
Okay. I like his answer better. Not important. I like his answer better. It's not the point. The point is you're being educated. Drink water.
Yeah.
I just had a flashback to the military, so we're gonna move on.
Oh.
Because I said drink water.
We will not make
and
you
I
pour it out
wanted
on your
to
head.
yell out, "Beat the heat, drill sergeant, beat the heat," and that's not what I do anymore. So we're gonna actually jump into educate. So this first segment is going to be all about educate. We've got a couple of questions for Daniel. Most of them are going to be related to this missions trip. So Daniel, tell us a little bit about the mission trip to Havana, and in your opinion, how does it correlate with Manna University's educate value?
That's good.
I know it is a good question, ain't it?
Yeah. Well, the value is that we're a people in a place of learning, right? I also, when I hear that, I know this isn't a church podcast, but I'm also a man church person. And so I immediately think of the operational principle. The church is not just a teaching center, it's a training center.
Amen.
And you kind of see some of that reflected in Educate and Equip, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. In the same way, like this is very much a case where, yes, there's training and yes, there's equipping, but there's also teaching that happens, right? So when you're talking about evangelism, like that's a big part of what we do during these trips. And evangelism is not something that I think everybody is just immediately exposed to.
Yeah, that's good.
Everybody who's calling themselves a Christian, who has been, who has at some point decided to give their life to Jesus, has heard some form of the gospel. But just because you've heard some form of the gospel doesn't mean that you know it well enough to teach it. Doesn't mean you know it well enough to share it with someone. And so part of the preparation is actually going through a very systematic gospel presentation.
Yep.
We went through it multiple times in our meetings. We sent it to people. We're like, here's a YouTube video of somebody who's a master at it, presenting it.
Yep.
The idea is not to manipulate people into saying something that they don't believe. The idea really is, how can I communicate a very complex set of ideas in a simple way? Because like in a sense, the gospel is wide and deep, right?
Yeah.
Like it's it's got there's a shallow end of the pool where anyone can enter pretty quickly. But also, it gets really deep really fast. I mean, the longest epistle in the New Testament is written about the gospel. And it's like really long, and you can still write like commentaries this thick on Romans.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I think in the process of preparing for the trip, there's a lot of education.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to turn a gospel presentation that's live happening into a class.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
That's a good point.
like you don't want to teach it like I'm the teacher, you're the student, you just have to sit back. It should be a discussion.
Yeah.
But there's also, you are still teaching something, right? You may be explaining it to someone who's already heard the gospel before, but in some cases you're explaining it to someone who really has never heard I don't know if I want to say the full gospel, right? But sometimes someone's never heard the full gospel before. Not that you're giving them every ounce of knowledge on the gospel that exists, but that you're giving them a cohesive, somewhat full story. So I had one person who, she had been around the church much of her life. She hadn't been attending church her whole life, but she had gone to church when she was young. And and when I basically shared the presentation and I tied it back to the Garden of Eden, she was like, "Oh, I didn't know how those things tied in together before." And I was like, well, I didn't feel like what I did was that special. But at the same time, like it's normal for me, where in my environment where I am, to hear the story together. But what we don't realize sometimes is people hear the individual stories and they don't know how they tie together into the gospel.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about like, because we had one meeting, preparation meeting every month for like, 5 months leading up to. And a lot of that was educating, right? Like you think about it, like not just educating on the filter, not just educating on the gospel presentation. There was educating in the context of, we're going to Havana, Cuba, where most of you have never been before, and the culture is very different there, right?
Yep.
Do you understand the culture that you're about to walk into? So we need to educate you on that. We need to educate you on what it looks like packing wise, because hello, one of our very, very loving, I love her so much, I won't say her name, but she packed jeans every single day for the trip. Luckily, we were able to educate her on, you might not want to wear jeans. Like jeans are just like not the best, like you can, but you will be pulling your jeans off of you every single day because of the amount of sweat. So like educating in all sorts of facets, right?
Yeah. And actually, I love that you brought that up. It doesn't have a ton to do with, I guess it does. Sorry, I just finished a counseling ethics class at Manna University. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a biblical higher education. I'm just kidding. You guys
I was about to
know
say
what
that
Manna
would
U
be
is.
crazy if they didn't hear about it. Seeing as
No,
on
I just finished a
podcast.
counseling ethics class at Manna U in the summer A term, and so this is fresh on my mind. And one of the things we covered was the principle of autonomy. Right. And this idea that people have the right to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can take different theological approaches to that. But when I think about education, I also think part of education is I don't just want to tell someone what to do. I want to tell them why. Like I want to tell someone how. So I remember talking with that specific team member and I was like, hey, just so you know, you have the right to wear jeans.
Yeah.
You can wear jeans if you want to.
Go for it.
You're not going to get in trouble. A lot of people second guess what I did because I wore pants. Because I was like, I don't want to have to bring twice as much sunscreen, So I brought sunscreen for my arms and face and not for I'm just going to wear pants instead. But I told the person, I was like, I'm wearing loose fitting pants though. I'm not wearing, jeans. So, make decisions, but know why you're making those decisions. That's.
And she chose not to wear jeans.
She did choose not to wear jeans.
And she was very grateful for that. She did wear pants, not jeans. So there's that. Okay, so a part of your role was to support the leaders.
Yes.
Right? Because Dr. Serrano was one of the leaders. You're his assistant. We work together. Like it's Manna University's kind of leading the way on this trip. So
Indeed.
You kind of supported the leaders on this trip. What does that look like, and how did Manna University prepare to do something like this? So we know Manna Church does Manna missions trips all the time. We know Filter of Hope knows what they're doing, but Manna University has never led the way for a missions trip. So what does that look like? And how did we prepare to do, and from what you experienced, how did we prepare to do this?
I think from what I could see, something that helped us a lot was that we had prior experience on.
That's good.
So everyone that was a leader, and I personally, as someone who we had the typical makeup is you have a leader and you have 2 co-leaders, and then I was actually invited to co-lead a trip, and I was like, oh, which trip do I want to co-lead? I was like, oh, Manna U's doing a trip. They already had 2 co-leaders who were phenomenal, so I was like, okay, I will still go, but I will just go and support. So I was sort of like not actually a co-leader, but I was absolutely supporting the leaders, and in that process, me and Tamara and Dee and Dr. Serrano all had been on the trip before. I in 2023 and them in 2024. Didn't mean to rhyme, but it did. Anyway, regular Dr. Seuss right here. We'd all been on the trip before, which means we had all experienced the trip from the perspective of a team member. So nothing on the trip was really much of a surprise. But also we had, I believe you had also co-led on the same trip. Correct. Which means that we'd also had insight into the planning process. So we weren't just coming in. This is one of the cool things, is that like if you want to change things, you don't just show up and change them without knowing anything about how they work, right?
Oh, that's good.
Like if you come across a fence, if you're just walking through the woods and you come across a fence, you don't just tear down the fence because you don't see why it's there. There's a reason someone put the fence there. Now, maybe the fence doesn't need to be there anymore, but you don't just show up to land that's new to you and tear down a fence without knowing why it was there. That's good. So we didn't just say, oh, how does Manna do it? How does Filter of Hope do it? Let's change it. No, we said, oh, we like this, we like this, we like this. I wonder if we can upgrade. Like, I wonder if or hey, let's hold ourselves to at least this standard. Yeah. And maybe, oh, I like the way you guys do this, and we're gonna maintain the spirit of it, but we also might shift some things so they work well for our group. Yep. That may make it sound like we're disobeying, disrespecting. It was nothing like that. It was just, oh, we realized that in the past, these are some lessons learned of, hey, in the planning process, oh, let's make sure that we do this. Good.
Well, and it was cool because working with Jordan Gill, so he is the Manna Church Missions and Outreach Pastor.
That's right.
Shout out to Jordan Gill.
Great guy.
And yeah, for sure. And he gives you that room to operate best for, because when you're going on this trip, right, you're the one who's interviewing the people who wants to go on the trip. You're the one who's accepting the team members onto the team. And so he says, hey, these are the things that we absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, need you to do on this trip. Like, we need you to do filters. We need you to share the gospel presentation. We need you to get there. Like, these are the things we kind of need you to do.
Right.
But there is room for you to navigate in a way that's going to be best for you to lead. And that was another opportunity for us to educate not just ourselves based off of what we learned in previous years, but also educate the team members on, okay, we're doing this thing, and this is why.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly. There's leeway on the things that there's room for leeway on. And that was where we were able to take it and say, oh, in previous years, we saw it done this way, and there was nothing wrong with that. But let's try it this way. And then the things that stay the same, stay the same.
And they stay the same because they work.
Right.
And they work well.
And Filter of Hope's really good about that. Filter of Hope has really good, they've got a lot of really good systems. Indeed.
Shout out to Filter of Hope.
This water brought to you by Filter of Hope.
Okay. Maybe not quite, but we'll go with it. Okay, so we're going to shift to our next segment, which is all about equip.
Love equip.
I do too. All right, so I was on the trip with you, clearly. So I know the answers, but our listeners may be curious as to what it looks like to be equipped to go on a missions trip. So would you say that you were equipped to go on this trip? And if so, how did Manna U play a role in you being equipped? So Manna U specifically, let's step outside of the fact that, you and I went on this trip previously, right? What are some ways that you feel like Manna University pre-equipped you to take this trip?
Yeah, there's a few ways. You mentioned the culture, which I thought was cool, because that was something that we at Manna University put a good deal of work into as well. the thing about culture, you can learn about a culture. You really can't know exactly how it feels until you're there, right?
Yeah, true story.
Now I can tell you some things about how it feels, and you can know things about how it feels, right? But it's not until you actually interact with people and you're immersed in it that you actually know. They actually know what it's like. Also, if you've got a group of like 5 people who are all Americans, even if you're in someone's home who's Cuban, and if there's like 2 people there and 6 Americans, that does also still shift the culture. But in general, when you're going to be in a different country, you're going to experience more of what it is than if you just read. However, it's absolutely worthwhile to do research ahead of time. So there's books that you can read, there's articles you can read. I learned this from my boss, Dr. Serrano. Every time I've gone on a trip with him, we get there, and even if it's his first time there, he can point out like, oh, this is the significance of that person, this is that. And it's just because he prepares. So he prepares, he does research ahead of time. If you follow him on Instagram or Facebook and you see his What I Read This Month, if he's gone on a trip somewhere for the first time that month, or even if he's gone back, a lot of times there's a book in there about the place that he went.
Oh, wow.
And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was something that Manna U actually kind of committed to for this year. We prepared these cultural guides for all of the Manna missions trips, all the Manna Church mission trips. So Filter of Hope trips and other trips as well. We put together these cultural guides that would basically just be like a read ahead of, hey, listen, this isn't telling you everything. Reading this doesn't make you an expert, but reading this gives you an idea, gives you a little bit of insight. Here are some things that make it a little bit different, and a little bit different than where you're from. And here are some things that you should be mindful of. Here are some cultural faux pas to avoid. Here's a little bit of general history, your background knowledge. And it was pretty cool that Manna U put those together to help equip people. So that's one big way that Manna U has helped equip and educate a bunch of people. Anyone going on a Manna missions trip has access to that guide.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
And yeah.
So also I was thinking, so would you say that when a student is at Manna University and they're equipped to research a paper, it could also equip them on how to effectively research a culture that they're about to step into?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because and you may or may not be looking for the same kind of articles, right? Like if you've ever used a scholarly database and you're looking for peer-reviewed articles, you know that if you just search the name of the country, you're going to find some random stuff. Like, okay, I'm going to Mexico. Look up Mexico in Google Scholar. Look up Mexico in ProQuest. And it's like the leadership development qualities of leaders in healthcare fields in Mexico, and it's like that. It's not exactly what I was looking for.
Yes, right there.
But generally, those same tools that you use for researching, like, hey, if I can find one good source, I can look in the bibliography and I can find links from there. And absolutely, those same tools you use for researching can help you there. So it's like an educate thing, but it equips you to not just learn what we're teaching, but actually go teach yourself what you need to in the world.
It's good. It's good. So we can be equipped in our knowledge and our research, our understanding, or how to understand. And I appreciate that you said, like, hey, just because you do this doesn't make you an expert. So maybe don't go to another country after you did 45 minutes of research on that country and think that you know all there is to know, because I guarantee you do not.
Well, if you do that, you will fit in with some of the other Americans there. Americans as a people are bad about that. So if you want to look like an American, do that. Show up and say, I know everything, because you'll fit right in. I love my country, right? I love my people, I love my country, and also know that that's something we are known for internationally.
I was not ready for that.
I don't know if I told you this already. I have a fun story about some Americans on the trip.
Be good.
So one of the nights, so we were staying in Havana. If you don't know, there's this massive Spanish fort at Havana. If you've played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you go to the fort. It's really cool. Anyway.
Just nerded out right there.
Oh yeah, if you guys didn't know I'm a nerd, then you don't know me.
At all.
So we go to this fort. It's beautiful. You can see the entire city of Havana
gorgeous.
from on the fort.
Gorgeous.
It was awesome. We went there because every night they fire a cannon, and you can go there. It's like a tourist thing. So we went to experience that, seeing them. They actually dress up in like traditional Spanish military garb, yeah. And so they dress up and they go and do the whole ceremony and light it and blow a cannon.
It blew my chest in.
It was it was pretty
lie.
It was pretty wild.
Almost knocked me over.
But I am standing there waiting to watch the cannon fire. And they're putting in the wad. They're packing the powder. They're putting in the wad, and like they're doing all this stuff. And these American, like, they're about my age. They're like late teens, early 20s, and they all come up and they just start talking so loud. And they're like, they're not even putting a real cannonball in. I'm thinking, the cannon is pointing at the city of Havana. Do you want them to shoot a real cannonball at the city of Havana? They're like, they're not even putting a real cannonball in. What are they doing? And I'm like, it's probably a wad, guys, like, because the gunpowder, it's a whole thing with the pressure. If you're not into, guns and stuff, you won't know this, but like guys, shut up. They're like, they hear that I'm American and they go, oh, wait, you're from America. They're like, where are you from? And I'm like, North Carolina. And they're like, oh, cool. Do you know Emily? I said, no. And then I say, hey, guys.
Didn't know it's crazy.
I said, hey, guys. It's great to see Americans out here, but you guys are being too loud. You need to shut up, right? And I love people. Like I don't normally speak rudely with people, but I was also like, you guys are being really rude right now. Like no one else in this crowd is talking.
No one.
And you guys are talking right now.
No one was talking.
They are about to blow the cannon. Like they're about to shoot the cannon, and everyone is just listening.
Also like a call kind of thing going on, and everybody's trying to kind of like hear the call and understand what's actually happening. So yeah, that was not a shot at Americans.
No,
at all.
It was if you don't know better. You don't know better. And have I had moments where I'm that person? I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has. But it's one thing to really be mindful of if you're going to be traveling internationally and you haven't before. Something that takes like time is it's not just research ahead, but also be humble. Like know that I am somewhere that's like I'm not in my house. I'm not at my church. Like I'm not with just my close friends. I'm with people
not with the homies.
Yeah, I'm representing whatever group I'm representing. So I'm representing Jesus, like I'm representing Manna U, representing Manna Church, and I'm representing myself. And I don't want, can you imagine like somebody having memory of, oh yeah, you remember when those Americans came and they did that?
Yeah, one of my favorite regular phrases, I have a lot of them, but it's, you don't know what you don't know, but when you do know, you should do better.
That's good.
Like, period. Okay.
She says that to me a lot.
I probably do. Okay. All right. Is it possible to not be equipped on this trip and still be successful as a team member or a leader? Why or why not? Oh, your face just said all the words.
Why would you not be equipped?
It's funny. My husband always tells me, babe, you think too loud. Don't say anything. I know it's on your face. That's what you just did.
I thought too
loud.
loud.
It's like, Gary, you thought really loud. Like I turned around and looked and was like, oh, there's the answer. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're going to teach someone how to install a water filter, you dang well better know how to install a water filter. And if you're going to share the gospel presentation with someone and you want to be concise, you better have a concise gospel presentation prepared. So I would say no. There was actually one team member that I spoke with the day before we started actually doing the filter installations and the gospel presentations. And I said to him, I was like, hey, so how are you doing on the gospel presentation? And he's like, I think I'm doing pretty good. I say, okay, what are the 4 points? If you know evangelism, but you don't know like Filter of Hope, they use a version of the 4 spiritual laws, but they tie it in with the water filter. And so I said to him, what are the main 4 points? And he's like, oh, they're this. And he was basically just making them up on the spot. Like he was like, yeah, I know the gospel-ish, so I can like, and I was like, okay. I went to my backpack, I pulled out a pamphlet. I was like, here's the pamphlet that we're supposed to learn from. I'm going to quiz you on this again in the morning. I want you to be able to tell me in the morning what this is. In the morning, like, credit to him. He went through, he studied that night, and I took the pamphlet away from him and was like, all right, tell me the points. And he was able to.
This was my kid, wasn't it?
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
I am.
If you wanted to rat him out, that's fine. But
That's what I do as a parent.
sorry, Aiden. No, and here's the
But
thing.
at least he took the advice.
He did, and he did a great job with his gospel presentations.
Yeah.
So,
Also, we're talking about a 14-year-old, so it's not like...
it was impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So you should probably be equipped.
Yes,
Whether you're a member or a lead, well, you better be equipped if you're a leader.
Yeah, or you just don't have to lead anymore, right? Like
That's... I love this dude. He's got some really
thanks.
good answers. Or you just don't got to lead no more. That's
Yeah.
great. I love it. Okay. Let's shift to my favorite segment, Empower. That is my favorite segment. I probably say that every single podcast. Okay. Some people are very nervous or worried about going on mission trip, especially ones that are out of the country.
Sure.
How would you empower our listeners, our students, whoever, for going on a mission trip? So let's talk to them as if they're preparing for a mission trip, but they're nervous and they need to be empowered. What does that look like? How would you empower them?
Man. Yeah, the cool thing about a mission trip is that's also the one part of the scary thing is you're definitely getting out of your comfort zone.
Amen.
Right. And so
No, for real.
what I almost feel like is when you're when you're like, there's a big difference between being like when you've just like showered and put on clean clothes. There's a big difference between like that and when you get really dirty, right? Like if you're doing yard work or something at the end of it, there's not as big of a difference between there's a difference, but there's not quite as big of a difference between like when you've been working all day and you're like, oh, I feel gross, I need to go home and shower. And that, and like at the end of yard work, you might have like actual like dirt and mulch and stuff in your pockets for some reason at the end of the yard work. This is a sort of a weird rambly, but it comes back, right?
I hope so, because I'm trying to track.
There's a big difference between being clean and being dirty. There's not as big of a difference between being a little dirty and a lot dirty. You know, like there's a range for sure. There's a spectrum, but either way, it's like I don't like this. I want to go get clean, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm tracking.
So when I am comfortable, there's a big difference between comfort and discomfort, right? But there's a range of discomfort in there where it's like I'm already uncomfortable. And one of the cool things about travel is it's really exciting. Like if maybe you're someone who is like, no, I have no interest in travel. That's not most people I know. Like I find travel pretty interesting, pretty exciting.
Who would not be interested in traveling?
Weird people, Dee. Weird people.
We should.
Sorry, if you're a weird person, I don't hate weird people. I love weird people. They're great. But if you're like, no, I hate going to new places and learning new things and meeting new awesome people, you're just a little weird. That's okay, but
A lot weird. Anyway, carry on.
so, I'm not really talking to those folks. But if you're like, man, it would be so cool to like travel somewhere and experience a different culture and learn about the history and see the sights and meet the people. Travel can kind of be a draw, right? And you can think about it in that way. Like when you're going on a mission trip, you're not just going on like a sponsored sightseeing tour. It's definitely not. However, are you going to get to travel and go somewhere new that you haven't been and get to learn and get to experience still traveling there? Yes. And so it's kind of like, well, hey, I'm going to go do something that maybe isn't comfortable, but is worth it, right?
Oh, it is good.
There's something though that you can evangelize right here where you are. But ask yourself, how often do I evangelize? Maybe you're sitting on the other side of the screen going, oh, I evangelize all the time. I'm in Evangelism Explosion. I go out like once a week, or I go out twice a month with a small group and we evangelize together.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like, hey, I've been a Christian for 20 years and I've never shared my faith with anybody. Well, if that's the case, and that absolutely happens, well, excuse me. Filter of hope, guys. But if that's the case, and you're like, yeah, I'm just not comfortable. I just don't know how. Well, a great way is to join a group that's going to be going on a trip to get equipped to go share the gospel because they're already learning that anyway. And then go actually do it in a place where you're already out of your comfort zone. So it's kind of a great way to step out in faith, kind of take a step into the unknown, take a step into something that maybe is a little scary.
Yeah. I love that. I think that it's one of the things, there are many, but one of the things that I love about the way that Manna Church does missions is that they tell you so far in advance that these trips for the leaders, you know, so far in advance that it gives you an opportunity to educate, equip, and empower the people who are going on this trip with you. So when you join that team, if you're going on a Manna Church missions trip, when you join that team, you should feel, I'm not saying that all the nerves are going to go away. You're going to a new country. You don't know what you're going to get into. You're about to go and tell people about the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't know how they're going to respond. So, granted, I can't say all of the nervousness is going to go away. However, you spend so much time prepping, being educated, being equipped, being empowered to do this, that it almost should feel like I'm as ready, not completely, but I'm as ready as I could get before I can actually be there.
Absolutely.
Like, there's just a level of going on a missions trip that you cannot prepare yourself for. You just have to, you know how they say you had to be there?
Yeah.
It's kind of that. Like, you just have to be there.
Yes.
But, I mean, there's a lot of empowering that happens leading.
That's a great point you make.
Right.
And
like,
that's a good answer as well to something someone might be worried about is, oh, you're talking about installing a filter. I've never installed one of those filters. Oh, you're talking about sharing the gospel. I've never shared the gospel, or I haven't done it in a year or 2 years. Well, we're not just like going to buy you a plane ticket and fly you over there and say, here's a filter, here's a Bible, get after it.
Yeah, go.
No, we're like, there's, like she said, there's meetings leading up, there's training, and you actually go into it well prepared, which is a great point. Because I kind of gave more of just the how of like here's how being empowered is great. But no, that really is the thing. If you're worried about not being prepared, if you go into it unprepared, it means you weren't paying attention.
There it is.
Like, if you go into it unprepared, you weren't doing any of the work, you weren't paying attention at all. It's actually a great way to, oh man, I'm uncomfortable sharing my faith. At the end of it, not only have you successfully shared your faith somewhere else, but hopefully you're a little bit more comfortable sharing your faith back home.
Yep.
And that's actually the secret mission of these trips, right? There's
the sauce.
Yes, we are going and we're sharing the gospel where we are. We're distributing water filters. Secret, though, not really that secret. We're working with a local church that's already there with people who are equally capable Christians to all of us. Like, they don't need us to come.
There it is. It's good.
And so we are there. Like, yes, we're helping out our brothers and sisters. Like, they asked for us to come. So don't get me wrong. Like, we're still helping, but we're not there because they need our help. We're there because we need the help. We're there because we're getting equipped.
No, but that's good.
And so that's what, like, something I noticed too, that the leader and the co-leaders were talking about for this trip was, hey, how can we step back enough to give all the team members room to grow and give the team members room to develop? And because if we jump in every time that they struggle with something, they're never going to learn. That's
right. That's good. I love that. And it's one of those things where when you think about all the dynamics of the missions trip, like, yes, you're going, yes, you're helping in some way, but Dr. Serrano said it really good. He said, it's not like you showed up to Havana and then Jesus showed up. Like, he's been here. Like, God has been here. God is already doing a thing. You just now get to step in and be a conduit of that. You get to step in and be Jesus's support in the midst of the gospel, because he's here. He's already here. So if you have it in your mind that you're bringing God to whatever place you're on a missions trip, you are terribly mistaken. He is already there. You just get to go and be a conduit. And then on top of that, right, we walk away with something, because I have not been on a trip with anybody who, when it was all said and done, yes, I went over to help, I went over to do this thing, and I got nothing from it. If you go on a missions trip and you walk away saying, yeah, I got nothing from that, don't say that to me.
Yeah.
It's going to make me mad because I'm trying to figure out how do you go into a country that you've never been into and you share the gospel presentation, you share this need of water that these people don't have good access to, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get anything from that. Were you like, did you have the Holy Spirit? I'm just saying.
I do have one thought, actually. I know someone who didn't say that exactly.
Oh, don't tell me their name.
But I won't. They said something close to it. When I asked them about how their mission trip had gone, they were kind of like, I was like, really? Why? And they explained to me that every time that they tried to give a gospel presentation, first off, they said they didn't volunteer to do it until like the last day or two, like the last day or the last couple of days. And so they only got like 1 or 2 opportunities because they only asked, like they intentionally like stood back and like waited to see who else would ask for the opportunity. And so they kind of shot themselves in the foot in that sense. They gave themselves fewer opportunities. And then they said that when they did, anytime there was a lull in the conversation, that their leader just immediately jumped in and took over. And that's one thing that they said that made them feel. But it's like there's two issues there, right? So one, and I wasn't there, I didn't see. So maybe your leader was right to jump in when they did. But maybe if it's the way you're saying, well, then maybe your leader shouldn't have jumped in, and they should have let you tread water for a little bit as you figured out which way you were going to be swimming, right? But maybe also, if you had fought for more opportunities, you would have had more chances. And so you spend enough time presenting the gospel, giving out the filters. Yeah. Mixed up my plurality there. But you spend enough time doing the presentations and doing the distribution that you have multiple opportunities to share the gospel. But if you don't take them, then if you're not bold, and also if you're not bold enough to chime back in when the leader takes over, you can also, normally it's being translated, right? There are countries that Filter Vote goes to that speak primarily English, but many of them speak primarily Spanish, especially the trips that Manna Church goes with, which means you're working with a translator. And so it wouldn't be that weird in conversation to look over to your leader and say, can I take back over?
You can.
Like, I feel like I appreciate you helping me, but I also feel like I can. The question is, are you willing to, overcome your people pleasingness enough to do that?
He went deep with that one.
I was just sharing experience,
I wasn't ready. He said, your people pleasingness.
Yes, I'm a recovering
I'm
people pleaser.
I'm gonna write that down.
So. I stole that, but I won't say who from. If you follow Manna University's content, you've heard him say it before. So
recovering people pleaser is crazy.
I didn't come up with it. I just got to say that because he does my performance reviews. So
okay. Well, there's that. We know who that is. Okay, so I guess I could be considered a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah, so we should get shirts made.
I can
shirts
make
made.
that happen.
Coming out on DBowiemerch.net.
Don't look that up. That's not a thing. Do not look that up. Okay, so that was all about Empower. So we're almost done, but I do have a bonus question. I give everyone a bonus question.
Uh-oh.
And they're always fun.
Oh, good.
They're not like, I'm not about to ask you like,
She's going to ask me to go somewhere and present the gospel without knowing how to present the gospel. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So your bonus question is, if you could go on a missions trip with one person from the Bible except Jesus, you got to always say that because everybody's first idea is they want to go with Jesus.
Yeah.
He's going with you anyway.
Right.
Okay. So if you could go on a missions trip with one person from the Bible except Jesus, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good question.
Isn't it?
There's so many good options.
I know. Pick one.
I hate this.
Okay.
Why do I have to pick one?
Well, I just made you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have to take the opportunity to step into your uncomfortable zone and get comfortable.
But now
just like you just told them.
I may as well just go do some yard work now because I'm already uncomfortable.
Wow.
I'm kidding. Because like if I pick Moses, does Joshua tag along? Does Joshua bring Othniel? Okay.
How did we get there?
My first thought is, Joshua's hanging out around Moses, so maybe Joshua is Moses' travel companion, and so he's like
Daniel.
Okay. I feel like I got to go with Paul, right?
Ooh.
I mean,
okay, that's a good one.
if you're talking missionary trips, right? Like if you're talking mission trips, then is there a more iconic man for mission trips than Paul? Now, bear in mind, I've read his books. That's a Johnny Cash quote more than I've read his letters, right? I've read about Paul in Acts, but I also am like, I never met the guy, so I don't know exactly his personality. He does seem like he could be intense. Like he is a man.
No, 100%.
He's a man of excellence, a man of greatness. I mean, he was a Pharisee, so he knows like how to keep things in order and be orderly. So I'm not sure if it would be comfortable hanging out with Paul. However, man, like as many like places as that guy went to and planted churches or led and oversaw churches, it would be awesome to kind of be someone traveling with him.
Yeah. I think I love that answer because I love Paul. I think though, if we're talking about uncomfortable to go on a missions trip with, it'd be John.
John. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get boiled.
Because John was like out there eating bugs and stuff. He was just.
That's true.
He was like.
Oh, that John.
Oh, was there? I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the most uncomfortable one I can
That's
think
true.
of.
I thought you meant the disciple Jesus loved. Oh. You're talking like locusts and honey. At least there's honey. I mean, and were the locusts cooked? Because I feel like that matters.
You dip in the cooked locust and never mind.
I mean,
we're gonna leave that right.
I feel like I've had chips that are worse.
Okay.
You know,
I'm probably going with Peter, so we can go cut up together. No, I'm just joking. we gonna get in so much trouble.
Cut up ears together.
Yeah, because I mean, I jump bad, he jumped bad. We probably be bad. We should probably never. Peter and I should never go on a missions trip.
I want to say Daniel, right? For obvious reasons.
All right, so this is where I'm going to end things.
Seriously, I've got like a list of like, I've got like 15 people in my head where I'm like, well, this would be the advantage of this one. Yeah, but Paul has got to be the answer for me.
Well, this was wonderful. So thank you guys so much for joining me and Daniel, not the Bible Daniel, of course, but the Manna University Daniel, on this conversation about missions trips, educate, equip, and empower. Like, subscribe, hear, follow,
Ring the
all those
notification bell.
things. Ring the notification bell.
If you're on
It's
YouTube.
really cool. Yeah. If you are not on YouTube, then you can only hear us.
Maybe. Well, you can actually watch on Spotify too.
You can.
I'm a
You
Spotify
can.
podcast guy.
Because I can watch. But you know you can't watch everybody's podcast on Spotify.
That's correct.
I tried to watch Men of Churches on Spotify.
Yeah, they only
You
upload the
can't.
audio. I love Man Church.
We do.
No
Because we
disrespect to Man
watch,
Church.
but you can't
if you were
watch
trying to
it
pick which one you could
on
watch on
there.
Spotify, you can watch ours on Spotify.
Yes. No shots fired. Speaking of Man of Church, if you want to know more about Man of Church missions, Manna.church.
Manna.church.
I was going old school. I was going to go back to
Manchurch.org.
manachurch.org.
Yeah.
No. It hasn't been that for a long time.
That's how long Dee and I have been around.
Right. Manna.church. I think you could do /missions, and there may be information there. I don't know how many missions trips are left in the 2025 year, but still, it'd be a great place to go get some information if you are interested in a missions trip.
And we're only like 3 months out from the Rock, 4 months out from the Rock.
True story.
So when the Rock happens, that's when you can start like signing up.
Yeah.
And word to the wise, there were a couple trips I tried to sign up for the 2025 year, and I waited till the end of Rock to try and sign up for them last year, and some of them were already full.
Yeah, like the moment they drop them for Rock, start signing up.
They're like
some
shoe
of
drops.
them go really, like, for real.
Manna Missions, brought to you by
Manna
Nike.
Mission. The Manna Mission shoe drop is crazy. But you can tell we love Manna. We Manna'd out. Manna University, Manna Church. So, do all those things. And this may
I messed up your outro, sorry.
This may never be able to happen again because we don't know how to act together. So, until next time, we'll see you.
What is it? Come and see. Here are many